My friends, I cannot remember a time in my 30 years of pastoral ministry when Christian people have been more frightened than they are right now. Now, it's just my own little 3 decades of perspective, and some of you have a longer and wider and larger and more expansive perspective. But Christians are afraid today, and the church is afraid today. And the issues and the challenges that we face in the First Baptist Church of Brownwood are not unlike the challenges and the issues that all of the churches of Christ are facing. So as we deal and confront those challenges, at the very least, let's conclude that we are not alone. Christians are scared to death. There is ecological concern that we hear about each and every day. With a crowded planet, with fossil fuel emissions, with the kind of waste and byproducts that human beings create, the adverse impact on nature, on the environment. There are all kinds of varying theories about how to deal with that ecological concern, and there are different points of view about it, but at the very least, we are frightened. We are presently involved not in one war, but in 2 wars, and we forget that we have been at war for a long, long time. And there is a psychic numbing that has set in to our consciousness because of the scourge of war in Iraq and Afghanistan. Our young men, our young women. If the nations of the world sent people to war who were my age, we probably wouldn't have them. We send our best and our brightest, our youngest, and we have paid a great, great price. And I would imagine that there's hardly a family in the life of this congregation or any congregation that has not been touched in some way by war. We now find ourselves in an economic downturn. And we are told by financial advisors and experts that this is the worst economy. I hate to even repeat the words because we certainly don't want it to be a self-fulfilling prophecy. And we want to do our part right here in Brown County to remember the provision of God. We're going to remember that today. But we're told that it's the worst economic downturn since the Great Depression. And I believe that each and every one of us are feeling that tightening of the belt, that little pinch financially and economically. And then we live in a time of terror. What on earth? This outrageous sort of ununderstandable mentality of people hijacking airplanes and flying them into buildings and killing thousands and thousands of innocent people, of individuals strapping a bomb on their walking in to a busy restaurant or at a busy, bustling interchange and intersection in a great global capital and blowing themselves up and taking with them perfectly innocent women and children and men. We live in a time of fear and terror and anxiety. And Jesus recognizes this. It's hardly the sort of reflection of sugar plums dancing in our heads that we think we're going to have on the first Sunday of Advent. But here we have this text where Jesus speaks about terror and anxiety and fear in His own day and time. And Jesus is a masterful teacher, and He uses phrases and descriptions that are very graphic. And even as Celeste reads the text in this beautiful sanctuary, if we're honest with each other, there's a little rigor of fear and anxiety that courses through our body too. There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars on the earth. Nations will be in anguish. Is this prophecy not completely accurate today? And perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea. people will faint from terror, apprehensive of what is coming on the world, for the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. When these things begin to take place, here's the word of our leader for us. Does he say go climb under a rock? Does he say to retreat in a circle of fear and foreboding? Does he say to go get with we four and no more? Does Jesus say for us to go into hiding and build walls ever higher and ever higher and ever higher so that we can protect ourselves? That, my brothers and sisters, is a myth. The only protection in a time of terror is right here. What Jesus says is this: stand up. Don't fall down, stand up. Raise your head, because your redemption is drawing very, very near. Throughout the season of Advent, we remember and we celebrate. We declare and we mark it down in our hearts that the inbreaking of Almighty God in Jesus Christ is crackling all around us. And we can begin to sense it and to feel it even here a month away from that blessed day when we will remember the birth of the Christ child. It is the inbreaking. Edward Schweitzer, my New Testament teacher in seminary, would say in his thick Swiss accent that God is leaving the margins of our lives and crashing in to the center of our existence. And with that kind of promise and that kind of hope, we can stand up. Do not fear those who can destroy the body, because this body is only going to last for a short little smidgen, a little millisecond of time, but fear those realities which can kill the soul. And the soul, my friends, is that province where Almighty God resides, and no terrorist, no Osama bin Laden can contaminate that place. There is no power on the part of any enemy that can infiltrate that place. And that is the place we're trying to cultivate and to locate ourselves in this very moment, or we would be spending this hour doing something more useful. Hope in a time of terror. And here at the outset of this season, as we make all kinds of beautiful preparations to receive anew and afresh the birth of the baby Jesus in our lives, let us understand, as the text of this season will remind us, in the year of Caesar Augustus, a text that we will hide in our hearts this season. In a world of terrorism, of ecological concern, of crime, of drug abuse, of an economic depression, in that kind of world, Jesus comes and says, stand up. In that kind of world, lift up your heads, because your salvation is right on your doorstep. How do we appropriate that in our lives? How do we go out that door in a few moments and re-enter the real world of all of these challenges and have that kind of confidence? At least three things come to my mind. First, we remember God's past power. We remember God's past power. Think about the children of Israel in the wilderness so long ago. And think about their fear and their anxiety, their stresses and their concerns. And how many times did they have to go over again the deliverance of God from the hand of Egyptian slavery and bondage? Remember the Lord your God. God did not bring us this far to turn us around.